What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Dakota here from Frens, and today we're going to be looking at the Canon RP. This is the one and only camera I've been using up until this point. It was the first camera I got. I kind of got it without doing a lot of research, unfortunately. I wasn't super knowledgeable on the topic of photography, but I had always wanted to jump in. So I was kind of just asking around on Twitter for people that I saw were posting pictures and kind of just got the first camera that somebody suggested that they had. And I kind of wish I didn't do that, but I mean, it's a great budget camera. It's been with me for over 2 years at this point, and every picture that you've seen from me up until this point has been posted from this camera. Um, Initially, I was not even shooting in RAW, so the first probably 6 months of my pictures were all just JPEG straight out of the camera. I didn't even know how to edit. So it's been a learning curve for sure. About 2.5, maybe closer to 3 years. With this camera, I've gotten a lot of miles on it, you could say that. I bought the edition with the 24 to 70 f4 to f7.1, I believe it is. I think at the time it was about $1,300. I'm pretty sure now new you could get the combo for about 1,100, 1,200. I know it goes on sale a bunch, and you could get it for even cheaper on the secondary market. And I know you can get just the mirrorless version with no lens for around 800-900 bucks for refurbished from Canon, which I've heard great things about those cameras, and they come with a warranty and everything like that. It was at the time one of the more expensive things I ever bought, so I was super nervous to have it. I've been trying to do my best to shoot a couple times a week, and the days that I'm not shooting, I'm working on editing and practicing everything, just trying to become the best that I can at what I do. I'm having a lot of fun with this so far. But today we're going to kind of go through like some of the pros and cons for this camera. I'm not going to have much to compare it to, but these are kind of my experiences with everything. And from what the research I've done and for the upgrades I'm looking to get in the future, we're just going to go through everything. Let's get into some of the pros for the camera. As I said before, the price on this thing is fantastic. There's not much better you could do. It is the cheapest full frame Canon camera you can get. There are a couple of newer versions like the R8 and the R that I would say are a better value for your money, but if you're on a strict budget, the RP is nothing to look past. If you've seen my pictures in the past, you know that it can do a large portion of what most cameras can do. It does lack in some areas, and we're going to get into that in a second. But to start off with the cons, other than the price, it does come with a 26 megapixel sensor, which is crazy compared to some of the older cameras. And I know if you guys grew up shooting photography, you'd be lucky to get half that. So 26 megapixels is nothing to look past. Regardless of the price, it still comes with an articulated screen, the same menu system as all the other Canons. It might be missing some functionality in that area, but it does have the same menu system, and the touchscreen on this thing is fantastic. I never have any problems with that. And all the buttons and everything are still remappable, and you can kind of switch it up to how you like it. I've always enjoyed doing that. I've kind of set it once in the beginning and just haven't switched it since then. I love how I have it set up. I could shoot this thing with my eyes closed at this point. It's super lightweight. It's the best travel camera I could think of. Super light, really small, and as I said before, it's super cheap, so you don't have to be super stressed while carrying it around. I mean, at the time, it was pretty expensive for me, but if you bought this thing used, I'm sure you'd save a couple $100, and you don't have to worry about it too much. The battery life on this thing is surprisingly really good. I don't have a lot to compare it to, but I do have one of the OEM batteries, and then I did get two of the off-brand batteries. I don't know if this is a great brand. It's Artman. But I haven't noticed much of a difference. The one problem with the off-brand batteries is it doesn't show the battery percentage on the camera. You kind of just got to shoot until it dies. I keep my batteries charged. I got a charger that'll charge both batteries at the same time. So I normally have all three batteries charged for each shoot. But while I'm out on road trips and stuff, I can't always keep things charged, and I've never had a problem with them. They do last for about a day. I mean, I'm more on the careful side. I know, like, I keep my brightness down on the camera a little bit, and I do turn it off if I'm taking a little bit of a break or on a hike. So I'm sure if you have it on and you're constantly shooting, it might not be the best compared to some of the more expensive cameras, but I've never run into those issues personally. So this is in the pros for me. I'd say another pro, at least for this camera, is the kit lens. I know not everybody's going to get the kit lens, but I think this is such a versatile lens, and it's done so well for me up until this point. I have three lenses right now. I have the 50 millimeter, just the cheaper RF lens. I think it's the f1.8, and then I have such an expensive lens, the 100 to 500 millimeter, which I use a lot for wildlife and stuff. I haven't used it as much up until this point with posting my pictures, so you've probably seen a handful of them, especially from Yosemite, but I love that lens. That lens is crazy. But this lens is, I swear it's always on my camera. It is the best walking around lens. It's not the sharpest lens on the corners, but I mean, for, I think it's like $200 extra to get the kit lens, it's so worth it, especially if you're just coming to the RF line. I didn't have any other lenses when I got this camera, and this is all I used up until this point. I use this for car pictures, I use it for landscapes, portraits even. I've shot weddings with this camera and this lens. I know it's probably not the best wedding camera, but it does do the job. The main thing for wedding photography is catching the moment and learning composition and everything like that. You can still get a lot done with the RP. It might not be as flashy and great as some of the other cameras, but you can still get a lot done. With that being said, let's get into the cons, and there does happen to be quite a few. I'm able to look past some of those flaws because of how cheap it was, and I've been able to get so many good pictures with this, but there are some things that I would definitely have to include in the cons. The two that really have hindered my abilities, I would say, and it could just be me, I could be doing something wrong, but the low light performance, at least with photography, is not the best. Like anything above maybe 3200 ISO, it's either missing the focus every time, or even with the denoise feature, the pictures just aren't usable much at all. I know the denoise, the AI denoise thing in Lightroom is more of a new feature, maybe like a year old. So the first year I was using this, anything I shot over 3200 ISO, I wasn't able to use much of. I could just be me being super picky. I'm probably too much of a pixel peeper to be using the Canon RP. I like the things I shoot to be perfect. I know not everything can be perfect, but the low light performance on this is not fantastic. Another thing would have to be the tracking, the eye tracking. I know it definitely gets more advanced as you move up the Canon line, but I rarely ever use it because of how much it struggles to keep on the subject. It's not the best, so most of the time I'll just use the spot autofocus and just put it where I want to compose the picture for, and I'll just try and line it up with the eye as much as I can and take the picture. Even then, it still struggles a little bit capturing the shot, but Canon's autofocus is great on all the cameras. It definitely gets better as you move up, but there are definitely a lot of shots I've missed, especially when it comes to like sports and wildlife that's like anything flying. I have the hardest time getting a picture of. I think I have maybe 5 to 10 pictures total of birds in flight, and they're probably pretty big birds if I'm able to lock on and take the picture, and I'm moving the whole time trying to catch them. It struggles a little bit with the focus, and then as I said before, the low light performance. Something that I haven't really run into issues with is the video capabilities. I've heard a lot of people complain about the video on this camera. I've only used it for video one time. I mainly use my webcam, and then all my travel vlogs I use a GoPro. So I haven't had many issues with the video, but that's just because I don't use it. And when I did use it, it was a little bit confusing. So I'm gonna have to work on that in the future. But I've heard terrible things about the video on this camera. It might do well for some people, but if you're a video shooter, I've heard to go to the R8. I think that's the next up budget camera if you're looking for something in the RF line. The R8 I've heard is really good for video. Another thing I personally have run into problems with is the fact that it's missing weather sealing. My camera's still fine. I've never ruined the camera due to it not having weather sealing. But I do remember when we went to El Dorado Beach in LA, I was terrified because it was pouring rain out, and I was running around trying to take as many pictures as I could, like covering it with my hoodie, and like I was like all hunched over so the camera wouldn't get wet, and it still got a little wet. I dried it off as quick as possible, and I haven't had any issues since. But I was so stressed. I thought I ruined the camera, and I was like, hopefully the pictures are good at least. But the pictures actually did not turn out very good because I got so much water on the lens, on the end of the lens. So, I mean, I got some useful pictures. I'll throw them up here. But I was terrified as soon as I was out and it started pouring. That struggled a lot. The camera also does not have in-body image stabilization, which I know especially for a lot of shooters that'll take pictures from far away, or shoot a lot of handheld photos, that will be an issue. I haven't noticed it too much. That might also be why some of the other cons I have are there, is because it lacks that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'd say that that's about it for the cons, for me at least. As I've said before, I don't use it for video, so I can't speak much on that. I have heard bad things about the video on this camera. I just personally don't have any experience with that. Overall, though, for the value you get from this camera, I would say it's worth it, especially if you have it already. I wouldn't stress too much about it. And if you're looking to get into a camera and this is like the max amount of money you could spend, I don't think it's a terrible idea. You could always save up and get another camera like the R or the R8, which I would say probably you could get more bang for your buck. But if you find a cheap one of these on secondary, I would not pass it up due to this video. I love this camera. I have gotten so many amazing pictures with this camera. It's a great learning camera, and I think you could still get a lot done with it. As I've said before, there are some drawbacks to that, but I do think the pros outweigh the cons for the amount of money you're spending on the camera, especially if you get it refurbished or if you get it used on like Facebook Marketplace or eBay or something. With stuff like that, you always got to make sure that you don't get scammed, and you make sure it's not broken or something's already not messed up with it. I got mine from Best Buy with the 4-year like extended warranty, so I spent probably almost $1,700 on it, and I still enjoy every second of shooting with it. But that also could be because I don't have anything to compare it to. But overall, I would recommend it for some. It's definitely not for everybody. If you have any other Canon RF cameras, you don't need to downgrade to this. But if you're watching this video, it means you're already doing the work to find out what camera's for you, so that's a great start. I think that's going to be it for the review. I do plan on doing a video regarding the RP with the 100 to 500 millimeter lens, because when I was looking for kind of some information on the lens, I wanted to see if it was even usable on the RP, and I wanted to get some more information on that, but there was maybe one video out there on YouTube, and I know there's people out there with the RP already that are looking at getting into wildlife and want the best of the best, which I would say the 100 to 500 is. So I will be doing a review on that in the near future. I hope you guys have been enjoying the videos so far, and I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you do end up getting the Canon RP, or you have it already, let me know down below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have any video ideas, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.